What is the Oregon petition? Well, over 31,000 signatories agreed that basically there is no convincing evidence that increased CO2 emissions will cause catastrophic heating and disruption of the planet, and that higher CO2 actually has benefits to plants and animals. Plants love CO2, and animals thrive in warmer weather. The dinosaurs sure didn't mind when CO2 levels got up as high as 2,400 parts per million. So what are we at now? 6 times lower at only 400 parts per million? So we need to get going. We need to drive our cars some more. Those plants are on a CO2 starvation diet. But yet Tom Steyer lives in his own alternate universe. He's lost in his bubble of climate change hysteria, kind of like the homeless guy on the street corner who's yelling at everybody saying that it's the end of the world, we're all gonna die. But so after watching this video, hopefully you'll agree that Tom Steyer is either off his rocker or he is using this climate change hysteria as a wedge issue to promote a future political career for himself as governor or senator of his liberal state of California. So what are some of the crazy things that Tom Steyer has said about climate change? Well, first and foremost, he keeps assuming that the debate is over and the science is settled. Like here, for example, he says that we have to acknowledge the problem. And then from there, he conveniently leaps to calling it a huge threat to America. Everything he says is based on ifs, maybes, and possibilities. Then he leapfrogs to scaring people by using buzzwords like huge threat, scary, danger zone. And here he's claiming that sometime before the year 2050, Earth's temperatures are going to go up 2 degrees. You know, we've seen this movie before. Back in 1989, NASA's top climate scientist James Hansen predicted that Arctic summer ice would completely melt by 2018 and that New York's West Side Highway that runs along the Hudson River would be underwater. Never happened. In fact, ocean levels have been rising at a slow, steady pace, the same slow, steady pace as before the post-war economic boom when CO2 emissions started to spike up. And the slight ocean rise is not surprising because we're coming out of the little ice age. It's called weather. It changes. And speaking of New York, geologists also say that New York was once covered by a mile sheet of ice 18,000 years ago. Gee, how did that happen? How did all that ice melt? Again, it's called weather. Anyway, here's some more crazy Tom Steyer buzzwords. Destructive, ticking time bomb. Or there will be droughts, there will be floods, there will be rising oceans. But by the way, how do you have droughts and floods? Those are contradictory conditions there, Tom. And rising oceans, yeah, New Yorkers are still holding their collective breaths on that one. Here's another article I found talking about climate disaster. Again, Tom Steyer might want to stop acting like the crazy homeless guy on the street corner and read the Oregon petition, dummy. And promote prosperity. What is that? All these climate restrictions are stifling business, not helping or promoting. You're not promoting prosperity. You're trying to shut down the Keystone Pipeline, you idiot. You crazy liberals, you're trying to raise gasoline taxes. You're trying to force people out of their cars and take public transportation with crazy homeless guys, etc. You're trying to restrict the rights of Americans, not protect their rights. Just a typical politician-like distorting of reality. And here he says Californians can take effective action. What a load of horse manure. This is patently false. California releases about 1% of the world's CO2. So even if California were to somehow eliminate 100% of its 1% CO2 footprint, which is absurd, it's a pipe dream, not going to happen anytime soon. But even if you could, it's insignificant. California is too tiny. If you actually believe that humans can control Earth's temperature and they're going up 2 degrees in less than 30 years, if we immediately stopped all CO2 emissions here in California, then we Californians can only reduce temperature by 2/100ths of 1 degree. But I guess we could all feel good about ourselves because we made a symbolic gesture. Yeah, it cost us tons of money. People lost jobs. We had to get stuck in traffic because of road diets. We were forced into high-rise apartments, etc. But hey, we can all post feel-good hashtags on Twitter. Or if you want to look out even further, the UN estimates that temperatures will be 7 degrees higher in 100 years. And that's a load of nonsense, but let's just play along as if this were true. In order to forestall just one of those 7 degrees, we would have to produce no CO2 for the next 33 years. Yeah, that means no cars, no planes, no trains, no hospitals, no factories, no electricity anywhere, nothing. So again, when some political activist starts declaring that Californians can take effective action to control Earth's temperature, even if you believe all the hysteria that we humans can actually control the temperature of the planet, you're being played by a billionaire who rides around in a gas-guzzling SUV. And we're not even done at that. To top it all off, according to expert scientists at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, we've already hit the point of no return. They're saying that when CO2 levels pass 400 parts per million, climate change becomes irreversible. So we're all doomed already. And the crazy homeless man on the street corner agrees with the scientists now. So we have a consensus. There is nothing we can do about it. And maybe that's why the rest of the world, like China, they don't care about all the CO2 hysteria. The world is marching forward. Go lobby with China and India. Do you think they want to stifle business over there? Only billionaire fanatics like Tom Steyer want to sell you this mass hysteria. They want to inconvenience you, tax you, alter your life, control you, and shut you down if you don't agree with them.